Hey everyone, welcome to day 3 of the 60-day novel writing challenge. Today we're going to be talking about character relationships, but before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. And it's not just me asking today it's Pumpkin asking as well. He would like you to please hit subscribe. That is what he's saying. I don't know if you can tell, but I sure can. Anyway, today I'm drinking some lovely green tea, so whatever it is that you're drinking, go ahead and grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Relationships are one of the most important parts of good storytelling. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be coming up with our whole entire cast of main characters and then kind of a little bit of the side characters as well. We're going to be filling out a couple more character sheets because if you thought you were done with those, you are crazy. We're going to be coming back to those a lot. We're going to be adding to them. There's a lot we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to start by showing you my list of my characters that I've come up with. I've kind of got them separated here into the goodies, the baddies, a couple side characters. You know, I've got the best friend, I've got the parents. My book is going to be taking place in like a circus world, so there's going to be a lot of entertainers, a lot of vendors. And so the first thing we're all going to be doing together is coming up with an entire cast for our novels. So one of the first things we have to come up with for each of these characters is, of course, names, which is honestly one of the hardest parts of writing, is coming up with names for all of your characters, for all of your cities. It's actually really challenging, but I'm going to share with you a couple of tips for how I come up with names. And one of them is that I take existing names that I really like, and I'll just change 1 or 2 letters. And then if they're still sounding kind of cool, but not quite there, I'll change a couple more letters. And I do that until I find a name that sounds really cool to me. So that's one way. Another way you can come up with names is by using the Latin roots for words that describe your character. So if, for example, your character has a really bright, glowing personality, you can go look that up, and to light in Latin is lumen. So she could be lumina or luminesca, or, you know, you can always play on that a little bit, and then that kind of gives your character a little bit extra depth, because readers do inherently recognize those Latin words. So if you had a character named Lumina, people would know that she's going to be bright and glowy. It's just kind of like ingrained. It's kind of cool in that way too. So once you've got your cast all laid out, you're going to want to separate them into your main characters and your supporting characters. And every one of those main characters is going to be getting a character sheet. And this is another reason that I love Scrivener, is I can just see these all down the left-hand side of my screen. So I'm making a character sheet for every one of them. We don't have to necessarily do all of those character sheets today, but if you want to, you're very welcome to. Now I also want you to add something to every one of these character worksheets. So we just came up with our cast, and so I want you to copy and paste that, and I want you to put it at the bottom of every single character worksheet. So then when you're going through and you're filling these out, you're going to go through at the very bottom and explain the relationship between that character and every other character in the story. Now, of course, like every other day in this challenge, the goal of doing all of this is that it's going to generate some ideas in your head of scenes, of conversations that might happen. I really want you to think about how you're going to introduce these characters and their relationships to each other, because your character relationships are truly one of the most important parts of your story. What I mean to say is, when you think back to what you loved about Harry Potter, of course there's the battle of good and evil, and there's the magic, and there's the school, but one of the most important parts that you remember is the Harry, Ron, and Hermione relationship. The way that they were friends that had his back, and as a reader, it made you feel like you belonged. It made you feel like you had those best friends. Those relationships were one of the driving factors towards Harry Potter's success. I am absolutely sure of it. Believe it or not, I have actually read books other than Harry Potter. One of my favorite character building scenes comes from this book that I've actually got right back here, called Caraval, or Caraval. I've never actually known exactly how to say it. I haven't read this since it came out, which has been a while, but there is a scene in here that I will always remember vividly, because there are 2 sisters. It's like your introduction to their relationship, and it's so impactful because it starts off, I don't even remember what they did, but one of them's in trouble. They've done something wrong. I think it had to do with a boy, and Dad shows up, and they know they're in big trouble, and he goes, "Which one of you did this?" And the sisters point at each other, and they both go, "She did it, wasn't me, she did it." And so you have this instant aversion to them because they've sold each other out. You know, they're supposed to be close sisters, but then all of a sudden what you find out in the story is that Dad is super abusive, and he's actually gonna beat the sister who didn't cause the problem to punish the other one. Because they love each other so much, Dad punishes them by hurting the other sister. And so once you learn that, you realize, oh, suddenly it completely flips everything around. They're trying to blame the other sister so that they're the one to take the beating. It's one of the coolest flips I've ever seen in literature, and it absolutely solidified these sisters' love for each other. So what I want you to really think about as you go in and as you start writing your character relationships is, how are you going to present those relationships? So you can't just say the sisters love each other. You need to show it. You need to come up with a cool, creative scene that really makes your reader feel it. So our homework today is pretty straightforward. We're gonna come up with a full list of who is in the cast. You should have a pretty good idea now of who's good, who's bad, who's a side character. And then we're gonna fill out 2 more character worksheets, and we're gonna add those relationships to the worksheets. And the ultimate goal of all of this is that while you're filling out those relationships, it should give you ideas on conversations your characters can have, on how you're gonna introduce those relationships. You wanna come up with 10 more ideas, and since today is day 3, you should have 30 ideas total in your notes and ideas section. So without further ado, I am going to jump off as well and go fill in my character relationships. If you have not hit that subscribe button below, make sure you do, and I will see you tomorrow for day 4 of the 60-day novel writing challenge.